So not many people know this, but before the 50s, Muay Thai actually did not exist. Instead, it was just known as Muay. And Muay wasn't a rule set or a league or an organization. It was just a broad term applied for unarmed striking practices used across Siam. It appeared in military training, local contests, and cultural events long before it was organized for regular spectators. But by around the middle of the 20th century, that loose practice had become a regulated national sport known as Muay Thai. So how did this transformation actually happen? We're going to break it down in this video. By the early 20th century, Muay still existed without any central governing authority. There was no national rule set, no shared match structure, no consistent way to compare fighters from different regions. Each region of Thailand had its own style of Muay, such as Muay Karat from the northeast, which focused on powerful punches and kicks, Muay Chaya from the south, focused on defense, footwork and counterattacks, Muay Lopburi from the central regions, focused on speed and angles, Muay Tasau from the north, which focused on agility. Much later, historians would group these older Muay practices under the label Muay Boran, meaning ancient boxing. Fights were organized locally, at temple fairs, seasonal festivals, or as informal challenges. Some bouts used rope-wrapped hands, others allowed bare knuckles. Time limits, if they existed at all, varied by location. At this stage, Muay functioned as a cultural practice, a test of toughness and a component of military conditioning. It did not have standardization, rankings, or long-term competitive pathways. So what changed that pushed Muay out of villages and towards organization? In the early 20th century, Thailand underwent rapid modernization. Bangkok expanded, central governance strengthened, Western education, administration, and sport were introduced. Western boxing arrived with a clear structure, enclosed rings, timed rounds, referees, and weight divisions. Muay contests began borrowing these elements, not all at once and not uniformly. Some fights adopted rings, others introduced timekeeping, weight divisions started appearing, though inconsistently. Gloves appeared in certain venues but not others. There was still no unified system, but a framework had entered the picture. As Muay moved into urban spaces and ticketed venues, the lack of consistency became harder to ignore. Different rules produced different outcomes, disputes became common, comparisons between fighters were unclear. By the 1920s and 1930s, Muay existed in a transitional state, no longer purely traditional, but not yet fully regulated. So what finally pushed Muay from partial organization into full standardization? World War II disrupted Thailand's social and institutional life. Bangkok was bombed, public venues closed, sporting activities stalled. When the war ended, Thailand entered a period of reorganization. There was renewed emphasis on national identity, order, and centralized institutions. Sport became part of that process. Muay, already popular and culturally significant, was reorganized within this new framework. In 1945, Rajadamnern Stadium opened in Bangkok. For the first time, Muay had a permanent, purpose-built venue operating under a standardized regulatory framework. Rajadamnern introduced standardized rounds, mandatory gloves, referees and judges, and scheduled fight programs. This marked a turning point. The presence of a permanent stadium also allowed fighters to compete consistently, be matched repeatedly, be compared across divisions. For the first time, Muay operated as a continuous, stadium-based professional sport, and through this process was increasingly promoted under the name Muay Thai. But standardization required more than venues. It required decisions about what the sport would allow inside a fight. So which elements of older Muay striking made it into this new Muay Thai system, and which did not? As rules were formalized, certain techniques were removed from competition. These included headbutts, groin strikes, small joint manipulation, and biting and eye attacks. The removals were not presented as changes to Muay's identity, but as requirements for regulated competition under Muay Thai. The techniques that remained were those that could be officiated clearly, allowed fights to continue over multiple rounds, and produced visible outcomes suitable for judging. So elbows, knees, clinch work, and throws remained legal, though regulated. Scoring systems emphasized balance, control, and effective dominance. This codification shaped how fighters approach bouts, and with rules now in place, the sport required infrastructure to produce fighters to support frequent competition. So how did training adapt to support this formalized competitive structure? As Muay Thai became a regulated sport, training environments changed. Gyms evolved into permanent institutions rather than informal gathering places. Fighters began training on fixed schedules, with structured sessions, under dedicated trainers, and with preparation tied to upcoming bouts. Young fighters were brought into gyms at early ages and developed continuously. Competition schedules became more predictable, allowing fighters to compete frequently and accumulate experience, build records, and progress through weight classes. The gym became the central unit of Muay Thai organization, acting as an intermediary that linked fighters, promoters, and stadiums. By the early 1950s, Muay Thai had regular competition, stable training environments, and a growing professional class of fighters. But how do you know a sport is truly standardized? When it works in one place, or when it works everywhere? In 1956, Lumpinee Stadium opened, operated by the Royal Thai Army. It established a second elite venue alongside Rajadamnern, which also reinforced the same rule framework. With two major stadiums now operating under the same standards, Muay Thai reached full formalisation. This period established consistent judging criteria, recognised titles, and a shared competitive language. Fighters could now be evaluated across venues, championships carried national significance, and the sport operated as a unified system. By the late 1950s, Muay Thai closely resembled the structure seen today. The transition was complete. Muay had become Muay Thai, not through a single decision, but through decades of gradual change. Rules replaced customs, stadiums replaced festivals, and careers replaced one-off contests.